Welcome back. You're watching Morning Prime here, Global Today. We continue pace with the conversation. And this is what you're waking up to on the front page of the Standard today. Ruto goes after expensive loan to settle Eurobonds. This is all about debt management. President William Ruto's gamble to raise billions of shillings of new debt from international investors has paid off after the government received bids of $6 billion spread to 2031. However, the new loan comes at a steep price as the country will pay almost double the interest rate it had on the loan it is repaying. And this is a story that you want to follow on page 2 of the Standard today. Also, Raila's journey to AU. Top job begins with the Mudavadi trip to Addis. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is expected to lead Kenya's push to have Raila elected chairperson of the African Union Commission during the Interministerial Conference of the AU meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, that begins today. Also, teachers' union in new battle over TSC. The two main teachers' unions are spoiling for a fight to restore credibility in the eyes of their members and to stamp their authority with their employer. You have the story on page 8 of the Standard. Love is in the air, but at a cost. The price of flowers may double as harsh economic times push florists to hike prices. A bouquet of flowers previously selling at 500 shillings is going for 1,000 right now. You have a story on page 3 of the Standard. And remember, also get all the wiser with the Enterprise magazine that comes in handy for you every Wednesday inside the Standard. Special delivery when flowers dealers redefine love in many colors. Also, Coach and Kiptum were inseparable. Widow mourns. We continue to mourn with our icon that has gone too soon. That story is on page 5 of Kelvin Kiptum. Relievers shilling makes big gain against dollar is another story in the business pages of the Standard today. Police in court over sale of the exhibit that killed 23 people. That is on page 18 of the Standard this morning. The Daily Nation, ghost workers get away with 35 billion shillings. That's an eye-popping figure. As civil servants with fake papers unmasked, a Senate watchdog committee investigating bogus salary payments demanded payroll audits from counties. Some differed. And for those that appointed task forces, a High Court order has outlawed them. With probes told rogue officials get to keep the loot. And you can see how that has been rising exponentially. Looking at this illustration here, the public wage bill trend since the advent of devolution in 2013 there, you can see. Right now it stands at 195 billion shillings, so to speak. From 77, it has grown exponentially. And this is a niggling worry for this country. When we're bleeding, we don't have money. And there are actually loopholes where this money is getting lost through. Tragedies that robbed the world of rising stars also is another story that you want to follow. Agnes Chebet Tirop violently killed in 2021. Samuel Wanjiru died following a fall in 2011. Nicholas Betts killed in a road crash in 2018. And here we have also Kelvin Kiptum. I will get close to the sub-2 barrier, so why not aim to break it? I am not afraid of setting these kinds of goals. This is what he had mentioned, but now he will not realize that. IBC, Kenya Kwanza blackmails Azimio coalition to support housing levy. And not yet off the hook, DPP appeals acquittal of Maribe in a murder trial. This is on page 3 of the Daily Nation today. The Star, wage bill crisis. Board demands doubled salary. MPs, judges and MCAs among state officers clamoring for more pay. You have the story on page 4 and 5 of the Star today. It's all about PACs. County Public Service Boards locked in legal war with SRC. And also, Raila assists in keeping small school children fed. And you can see him hard at work here. Hunger at bay. That is ODM leader Raila Odinga, Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Nasir, and Food for Education founder. This is Wawira Njiru serving food to pupils at Khadija ECD Center in Mombasa. Also, terror suspect found guilty of possessing IED. 2 men have been found guilty of being in possession of improvised explosive devices, including 7 projectile bombs, for the purpose of committing a terrorist act. You have the story on page 2 of the Star this morning. MPs oppose plot to clip Attorney General's powers. MPs have questioned a plot to clip the powers of Attorney General Justin Muturi. This follows a proposal to take away the public seal from the state law to the office of the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service. Members of a Joint Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and Administration and Internal Security have protested the planned changes. That story is on page 6 of the Star. Of course, Mheshimiwa, you'll tell us about this and why they want to take this particular seal from the office of the Attorney General to the Head of Public Service. What really informed this and what is the politics behind it as well? This is a story that you want to follow inside the Star this morning. All right, let's see what we have on the front page of the People Daily. Why Ruto wants Raila for AU post. There's a grand plan here. President advisors think that African Union top job will retire as MIM leader out of 2027 polls and give Kenya Kwanza breathing space. All right, is that what is up their collective sleeves? We'll hear from our panelists momentarily. And the last moments of legend Kiptum as well is splashed inside the People Daily. Allow me to cough a bit. Indeed, that is what we have on page 2 and 31 of the People Daily. And on top here, 2,000 civil servants risks losing jobs. 2,000 civil servants risk losing jobs. Director of Criminal Investigations boss Mohammed Amin, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Chief Executive Twalib Mubarak, Public Service Commission Chair Anthony Mushiri and EACC Chairperson Bishop David Oginde addressed journalists in Nairobi yesterday on this latest development on the ghost workers and fake papers. E-Citizen yaanza kutesa wazazi. That is another story that you want to follow inside Taifa Leo. And Kenya pays dearly to avoid 316 billion shillings Eurobond default. That is another story that you want to follow inside the Business Daily this morning. Puzzle of 2 billion shillings Telcom bank shares is another story there, splashed on the front page of the Business Daily today. 21,000 acres. That is states 21,000 acres on offer for food drive. Trade deficit falls by 300 billion shillings as fuel imports dip is another story that you want to follow. And also half of livestock feeds in Kenya fail quality tests. This is what KEBS is warning. That is the Business Daily today. In Rwanda, 590 jobs created in 3 years as the economy recovers. This is according to the Prime Minister Kagame. Erdogan discussed bilateral ties, and you can see him here, President Paul Kagame meeting with Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan on the sidelines of the World Government Summit in Dubai on Tuesday. And the two heads of state discussed ways to further strengthen bilateral cooperation between Rwanda and Turkey. And M23 rebels threatened to march on key town in eastern DR Congo. We'll run you by this latest development that we're having from DR Congo as well. And we have almost 29,000 troops from South Africa who will be going to eastern DR Congo as well to try and quell the violence that is ongoing there. This is the New Times and today's editorial cartoons. Parliament reopening. No patriotism, values, integrity, independence beyond this point. This is what has been captured by Victor. The resumption of Parliament yesterday. And today is Valentine's Day. Right? It's all about flowers. I leave it for you to decipher this that has been drawn by Ozone. And also inside the People Daily. Kuja Ruiru. And this is between CS Moses Kuria and also Aisha Juma. Kiuno ni changu, wacha nikitingishe. I leave it for you to decipher this. This is what is inside the People Daily today. And this is the latest copy of the East African publication. And spanned by Somalia, milked by Djibouti, Abiy turns to Lamu. The decision hands a lifeline to the moribund Kenyan port and fresh impetus to the regional Lapset project. This is a story on page 5. And Kenya signs contract to put SGR on track. Nairobi says it's ready to roll out the Naivasha-Malaba phase as Uganda seeks advisor. And Star Flight stalls Uganda Airlines growth plans. That is the story to follow inside the East African this morning. Right, let me just scroll back to the Standard and we go just to get some mentions from our panelists briefly in a cursory manner. Just one-liners, especially on the expensive loan. The president is going and is gambling, of course, as they say, to raise billions of shillings of new debt from international investors, and which has paid off after the government received bids of $6 billion as spread to 2031. However, the new loans comes at a steep price, as the country will pay almost double interest rate it had on the loan it is repaying. So it seems like I will still be digging that hole. We try and play. It's like a whack-a-mock. You know that whack-a-mock thing that you try and plug it here. It's coming on the other hole. This is what we're playing with our debt. Briefly,
I think we need to take into account what is said during elections and how serious it is, and what is supposed to happen during the governing phase. A country's election time, or rather time is divided into two, election time and governing time. And governing time from ancient Greece, where democracy started, was, the Greeks were very clear about it. It's a time of lies. In fact, they used to call it rhetoric. So the origin of the concept of rhetoric was when lies are told in public, and they are told so blatantly, and people laugh at them because they are lies. So you are warned that we have entered the moment of lies, the time of rhetoric. And I think that's what Kenyans were not prepared for. And I think we should start preparing Kenyans for that reality, that we have the time of rhetoric, call them lies, and the time of reality, which is when we start to implement those things that are supposed to be governing us and helping us. So the governing time is supposed to be 4 years. I think the problem we have had, in the last couple of decades, particularly since 2013, is where, the whole period has been shrunk to what we call permanent campaign. And therefore, rather than having just 1 year of lies, when everybody is expecting to be lied to and is happy to be lied to, and will vote because we have been lied to and convinced by lies, then we have extended that to the 4 years. We made the argument during election that Kenya is bearing a debt burden, and the public accepted, which is true. But we also lied that we are going to help the country, we are going to exit the taxation, the debt, and move to the taxation phase. So we are going to streamline our taxation system so that we avoid the debts. But apparently, both are happening. We have the debt growing exponentially, and we have taxes also growing exponentially, and we have development shrinking. Now, so this is where we need to rethink our democracy and the culture that it is going to coming up with. And I think the statement today, the headline of the Standard, is simply telling us that we need to belt up as Kenyans. We are headed for a very rocky part in our lives, because we have high debts and we have high taxes. In the past, we had high debts and low taxes. It's the other way around. Now, we are also having low employment. So even paying the taxes and paying the debts is going to become a major issue. So that is where, that's a comment I would make. The second element to that is that we are not going for affordable taxes. There's a reason to why Tanzania is going east. There's a reason to why Uganda and other African countries, including Nigeria, are going east. There's a reason to why Ethiopia and others are going east. Because taxes are cheap and affordable. Why are they affordable? They are affordable because in the West, they argue that Africa is a high-risk area. And if you go to any bank, a risky loan draws high interest rates. And therefore, Africans pay high interest rates than America or Britain. And that's what President Ruto has been talking about in the initial opening months of his presidency. He was very, very vocal about the interest rate that Africans are paying, just because we are classified by the World Bank and other body as high-risk countries, and their interests are high. So if you look at the interest that Britain or America or Netherlands are paying for their debts to the World Bank, it's nowhere comparable with what we're paying for our debts, because we are already classified by the money lenders as high risk. Now, because you have an ideological position, and you have taken an ideological position against certain countries, say China or India, then you can't go for debts there, because it is not fashionable, or your Western creditors will start saying that you are getting aligned. You remember we have entered a new Cold War. And this Cold War is largely between, America, pitted against China, Russia, and the South, largely. And therefore, Kenya has no moral courage to go for debts that are going to relieve our economy of the burden, because it is fashionable to go for debts that are high and that are going to make you ideologically comfortable in certain quarters. I find this obnoxious, I find this immoral, and I find this punitive to our people.
But don't you think also the respite, at least some gleam of light when you see the dollar or the shilling gaining against the dollar a bit? It has been, falling through the cracks, through and through.
But the question is, how long is that going to be? The signs are that things are increasingly getting worse. A short-time relief probably might not be very helpful in my view. But following from what Professor Kawancha is saying, it seems to me that our president, and I said this in this forum, he is increasingly going west, and he has become a darling of the Western, countries, and is become very regular in Western capitals. And as I said earlier, give it to him. He has, managed to convince the big boys of Western diplomacy that he is the center of the continent, and probably that is why he has been able to marshal this kind of support through some loans, which Pop says might not be very good to the nation going forward. But then with that kind of strength and influence in foreign policy, what is very interesting is lack of realization that what brings you to power may not necessarily sustain you in power. The hope and optimism that brings you to power will not sustain you in power. The mismatch between the words and actions is a bit too eloquent, that as the ordinary, everyday Kenyan is crying and suffering and raising very strong opposition to some of the policies of government, one wonders whether somebody is listening. So I think we need to find a way of directly dealing with some of the immediate challenges that have a potential to challenge our political stability. If you see the number of young people in the streets, the desperation in many of our institutions, particularly academic institutions, it's not actually very good for the stability of the country. I know that there is always the optimism that sometimes Kenya gets too close to the precipice and yet we don't tip over. I will urge that we don't spend time in that comfort zone, using the history of the country over the recent periods. Times are different. Majority of the people are suffering. The implementation of certain government policies probably moves away from the levels of decency that is required. Mheshimiwa, I saw you yesterday complaining with the traders in Isli because of the so-called operation that was going on there. And I saw somebody arguing that all these goods have been cleared at different levels until they go to the shop. Now, to find the agencies coming back and telling us this doesn't do well for business. So the question is somebody within government listening? I don't know.
Yeah, let's hear from Macharia, briefly.
Well, it's unfortunate. I think the policymakers are confused. They are doing the wrong things. We have a country becoming poorer, and the people becoming poorer. There's poverty creation being led in the process. When your money cannot buy you the same thing as it could buy you a month or 2 months ago, you are poorer. And when that is as a result of policy manipulation, then it's even worse. And it appears that to be the case right now. I think whoever it was saying, you don't make a country rich by overtaxing people. Instead, you create revolutionary environment, which is very discouraging. Right now, people are losing jobs, factories are closing. There is disinvestment taking place in the country, not investment. Our schools and universities, and Kenneth here is the chairman of one of the departments, they are having problems. Health services are going down. They're not improving. And when you check all those things, they are a result of bad policies and trying to force those bad policies down the throats of everybody. Because that's what's going on. So here you must do this, mpende spending. And sometimes you get those statements coming from them, I don't know, but they are being made with authority. So you have this desperation, there is increasing desperation in the country. And when you check it properly, it's because of bad policies at the top. So what may need to be done is a re-evaluation. And Mheshimiwa is here, maybe they can raise this issue. Can we re-evaluate what's going on? We talk sometimes about what happened after 2002. And the economy picked up, and people are very happy. People are enabled to acquire money in order to do what they have to do. They were enabled to do that, one, by stopping borrowing. Government virtually stopped borrowing, minimized. And if the government is not borrowing money from outside or anywhere, that money remains with the citizens. And they do what they have to do. And of course, taxation, people pay taxes, because they had ability to pay. Now, one of the problems that arose with poor Kibaki at the time, and earlier we were talking about some of these commentators who are very nasty on Kenya. Kibaki became very unpopular in the West by insisting that Kenya should be self-sufficient and stop borrowing. Because when you are overburdening the country with these debts which you don't know how to pay. And the poor people are now being made to pay things they don't understand. And they are not getting value for it. And it's all a matter of what? Policy. When you become overly praised by Washington and London, you know there's something wrong. If they are praising you, watch out. There's something wrong. Because you are not doing the right thing for yourself and your people. But you are doing something right for them. And so they praise you and say, oh, you are our best. And at that time, you are down the drain. So it goes back to, we need to re-examine the policy at the top. And whether it's going the right direction or the wrong direction. And re-evaluate the whole thing. And so we need a little more vocal voices in Parliament, because they have a hearing. That cartoon you showed there about the people opening the parliament.
Yes, I think Mheshimiwa...
And it was telling, but it should not be. But Mheshimiwa, reverse that cartoon. So that
no patriotism, no values.
So the MPs are seen to be patriotic, to have value to it, and not to be persuaded by visiting some room somewhere before they pass the law. Right now, we are being told some things are being cooked up to be made laws. And most likely they will be passed because of what we have been told before, when they should not be. They should not be. If our MPs will go back against that cartoon. So what I'm saying is that it does not have to be the way it is, but it is because of bad policies, and they need to be re-evaluated.
Indeed. Mheshimiwa, you want to respond, because also one of the things that you wanted to put on the table is regarding that national security amendment bill that will be on the floor of the House, if you're intimately familiar with it. And of course, you also being in your department there, you should be at least maybe intimately familiar with it. You're not aware about that particular bill itself?
Well, no, there are many bills in Parliament, and one needs to look at them, and they come from different departments. At the moment, there isn't a bill from my committee on the table of the House.
That's us with the jailer.
But I just wanted to comment on the economic issues that our colleagues have commented on, particularly national debt. I must admit, as a member of Parliament, that in fact our debt accumulation has never been transparent. It has been opaque. And what we normally see and is discussed is bits and pieces of it. And unless you're really a specialist, an economic or finance specialist, it is very difficult to get a grip of our national debt crisis. We know that we are over-indebted, but the extent in which we are over-indebted is not very clear. And secondly, all these negotiations that are taking place, including the latest news that in fact we've been successful in getting another loan, is not an issue that has been discussed in a transparent and open manner, in which the Kenyan public really knows where we stand now as far as our national debt is concerned, and what the conditions are. Many of the conditions of how we have acquired some of these loans or debts from foreign countries, foreign institutions, is not very clear. What percentage of our loan is from the private sector, from banks, from vultures, who can increase the interest rates at their own will when it happens, is not very clear. So I think there is a need for a more transparent, more inclusive debt discussion and debate, and also more scrutiny of many of these debts that we're accumulating. Because every day there is a report saying the World Bank has given us so much, IMF has given us so much. These numbers are accumulating as we speak.
Yes.
Yet in fact we have already reached our debt ceiling as far as the authorized National Assembly requirements are concerned. So there's a lot of hidden things that does not provide an informed discussion and decision on the part of the Kenyan public and the Kenyan person.
So
we need to change that.
We need to change that, and it's a pity that we never got to hear from Harun Sirima himself, who was charged with the management of the debt management docket since 2018. The question has been raised why also he resigned way too early before his official retirement age, so to speak. There seems to be something within also the Treasury, the Ministry of Treasury, the Ministry, or the Central Bank of Kenya as well. There's something that is, as you say, if you allude to that particular management of it, that is bringing questions. Was he frustrated that he doesn't even have, the actual targets or the actual figures as far as debt is concerned? It has always been a moving target, and as Mheshimiwa is saying, We don't know what we're paying, actually.
That is
The exact figure when it comes to yes.
That is true, and the much we know is that because by law, Treasury or Herufi House has to release figures, and of course the auditor and Controller General has also to release figures, then we get to know the sum total of the debt burden that we are expected to carry. So somehow we can say certainly that the figure of the sum total of what debt is in public space. That's there. But how it came about, how it was incurred, the authorities that went into that were invoked in order to incur the debt are never clear. The other thing that we know is from what the politicians do. And when you are told, when you see vouchers around a place, then you know there's a carcass. That one you know. When you when you're watching a movie on the World Drive, which I watch a lot, then when you see vouchers moving towards a certain direction, then you say a certain animal has either fallen or is about to fall. Now, over the last 10 years, there has been a huge, campaign around the debt and who is benefiting from the debt, particularly the Eurobonds. If you listen to Jimmy Wanjigi, you listen to other people, they are simply giving figures that, again, confound what we are saying, that there is no clear public knowledge about this. And when then you start seeing certain personalities who are supposed to legally answer those questions exiting the stage,
yes,
either early enough or they thought they should exit, then you begin to see that there are serious issues. And the problem I have with my society, Kenya, is our memory. We are people with such a short memory that even when our country is raped, we take that as normal and go on and forget. People are talking about dams where billions of money was siphoned. And people mentioned figures, they owned up to figures misappropriated, but nobody has followed on that. The Kimaroel and the other dams around the Rift Valley. We're talking about the dams in Thika.
There's no credible evidence.
There's no, it's not about criminal evidence or credible evidence,
yes,
or credible evidence or what kind of evidence. We are simply saying all these things are adding up to our debt because we don't have that money. We are borrowing out from outside, and that answers the argument that we need transparency in terms of the money that we are borrowing from outside, because whatever we do, this debt will be paid. Look at the timing of this new loan. It will end at 2031. This is just about the time President Ruto will be exiting power. And therefore, the next leader of this country is going to inherit a huge debt burden. And therefore, they will start talking about the debt burden I have inherited. But you have seen the way it is systematically incurred. So you are literally shifting the debt from the Uhuru time now to 2032 to 2031, because by 2032, you'll have a new leader who is going to now inherit this debt, and the country will be hobbling from one problem to another. We need transparency. We need accountability in the way we incur debts, where we incur debts. We even need to see our papers carrying in the handlight that the Eurobond is having this interest. We just see figure $6 billion thrown there, $6 billion thrown there. We don't know how much interest we are paying on this, because as economists, and many of us have done some economics, you'd calculate what it will mean for us by 2031. And you can raise a question as whether this is moral or immoral to borrow this kind of money. Now, you have a cutting on your face because you don't know the interest rate of this amount. We need it published in public, the interest rate that we are borrowing. It is not what you borrow. It is what you are supposed to pay back, which determines whether you are going to take a loan or you're not going to take it. Because if the interest is so high, then you don't take it. My argument has been, why we looked east, and I was one of the authors of the Look East policy, why we looked east was not that we are ideologically committed to the east. It was because that economic interests were aligning with the East. The loans were affordable, and that's why we could build railways and roads and still feed our families and take our kids to school and give free education. But now, with the loans which we are paying 80 to 7%, how can you feed our families and take them to school and continue to build roads? So in about 5 years, I predict, and we have already started seeing it, you are going to see potholes returning into our market, and we'll be making our usual jokes that our potholes are so deep that you only see the head of a giraffe if it is in them. That's what we were doing in the 1990s and early 2000s. Okay, so that's where we are headed.
Okay. All right, let's hear from Ken. We went up on it, we'll move to another story.
It's just to add to what Professor Kawanch and Professor Machari raised earlier, that there are fundamental questions that we need to ask ourselves as a nation. And we seem to, the way Francis Mbuga is portraying the city, where one of the characters says we have killed our past and we are busy killing
our future.
It's a sad situation, but we are still optimistic, as I again said earlier, that somebody somewhere should be listening to the cry, because is it that we are the only ones who are seeing that, what's happening? Because if you look at the economic situation that we are in now, vis-a-vis the potential of political instability, it should cause alarm to any right-thinking citizen. And whether we are going east or we are going west, I advocate for what scholars of international relations call positive engagement. Let's work with what serves our interests. Whether that is east or west, it's not an issue, or both.
All right. Even as we're talking about debt, also how we manage our debt is a question. When we get these monies, where do they go to? That is a problem question we need to ask ourselves, because there are startling revelations that show thousands of government workers have fake academic papers. And a survey by the Public Service Commission reveals that over 2,000 officials are involved in widespread cases of forged credentials across ministries and other government institutions. The most affected are the ministries of Interior, Energy, the Kenyatta National and Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, and Odi Francis has more on this.
A survey conducted by the Public Service Commission has shown that 2,000 government employees are implicated in the certificate forgery scandal. The investigative process commenced in October 2022.
The highest institution with forged certificate is the Ministry of Interior. More so because also it has the highest number of employees. The other institution is the Geothermal and Development Corporation. That's at Aparastato under the Ministry of Energy. And the third one, which should put a worry in all your faces, is Kenyatta National Hospital. This is a health institution. And the fourth one with the highest number of forgeries is Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital.
Notably, some individuals seeking fraudulent certificates opted for early retirement to evade scrutiny. Out of the 331 targeted organizations, 195 responded to the investigations. The task of unveiling the web of deceit now rests with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission (EACC) and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations (DCI).
The effects of hiring unqualified employees, it decreases our productivity and performance, while it also lowers the quality of our work, negative impact on team morale and engagement. Increased training and supervision costs damages our reputation and customer dissatisfaction.
After Public Service Commission handed over its comprehensive report, while strategies must be devised to expedite the resolution of 2,000 pending cases.
So we want laws that agencies like PSC given those kind of powers, that they can give a sort of a summary and is taken to court, and a ruling or judgment is given immediately.
EACC is categorical that individuals found culpable will face the full weight of their legal consequences.
Anybody that is found culpable will have to bear the consequences of their evil, including forfeiting anything that they gain that they may have accrued over the period of time that they have served under that fake certificate.
EACC has asked the government to implement a robust system for certificate verification, urging organizations to cross-check digital data against a unique identifier to prevent the proliferation of fake certificates.
If we had tamper-proof, security-proof documents, which is the way forward through automation, most of these things will be history, and we'll be having very, very few people who can forge these certificates.
The investigative report revealed several patterns of certificate forgery, including alteration of average marks in KCSE certificate, forgering of KCSE certificates, manipulation of miscellaneous certificate numbers, fabrication of names of certificates, and instances where staff falsely claim to have taken exams, leading to fraudulent degree changes.
While accountability beckons, the investigating agencies have a task to siphon through 2,000 academic or fake academic individuals to bring them to book. Ode Francis, KTN News, Nairobi.
Interesting story there. This is what also is on the front page of the Daily Nation today. Ghost workers get away with 35 billion shillings. Payroll theft has contributed to 42 counties breaching statutory salary caps. Civil servants with fake papers and masks. That is the story that was running there as well. It's saddening. And I'm sitting with academicians here, the legislator, and academician in his own way as well. When we have such cases that we're reporting here today, I think we've really fallen to a very low state as a nation. When we hear also an eye-popping figure like 35 billion shillings in a country where we're trying to make sure we stabilize, put our ducks in a row as far as the economy is concerned. Isn't this a niggling worry? We've been talking about this for the longest time. Across the borders also, Uganda is suffering with the same as well. Our academic papers are being questioned globally. Where is the efficacy of what you deem to be, have broken your sweat to earn, but it's fake through schemes from River Road?
Yeah, but first, when you talk about Mheshimiwa Yusuf, you said he's also an academic. It's not like there's any doubt. He belongs to the Department of Diplomacy and International Studies at the University of Nairobi. He's one of our senior scholars in the sense that he's now moving to the next stage. He's a PhD student there. Just to put that for the public, because it's important to underline that, because somebody would ask why he's here. He's not here largely because he's in the committee, but because he is able to contribute in this panel of think tanks. Because I see this as a collection of think tanks and academic forums. I mean, that level. Now, in terms of quality of our skills, we had this particular problem at Moi University in the 1990s, where I started teaching. And there was one archaeologist, late, he's now late, Onyango.
Yes.
He when he got one or two glasses and looked at the people around, he would get disturbed because he wondered whether these are the right people who should be teaching our people. And he would just say, when I was at Makerere, I saw Ken. I saw this one. Where were you?
I didn't see you.
And he used to embarrass many people. And I've not even heard from colleagues from Cambridge, from other universities that you are there. So where did you come from? What is your genetic roots? And he would put many people to task in that regard. Many of us used to think that he was nonsensical. But at the same time, he had a point because at that time we started seeing the problem of these genetically modified, lecturers and teachers. at that university. I mean, who would come to the university politically rather than, academically? They never, and some of them would come from universities where you did not even know whether those universities did exist in the world. Yet they came, and some would start as administrators and cross over into the academy, and it was a whirling experience. And I'm talking about the 1990s, and we started now seeing the whole question of people manufacturing what one of our colleagues, Mustafa Ali, calls microwave PhDs and so on. So even in the academy, where really standards are expected to begin, this microwave aspect of things is there. Then you come to the public service, and we go down to River Road, which they used to call Grogon those days. River Road becomes such an area of expertise, right? We don't just have Riverwood, meaning our emerging film industry, but we have the jokes and the things, funny things that come with the film industry, humor. That you can, if a soul is something you can duplicate, you can even have a soul from those parts of the world. Just duplicate it. So you don't actually need to go to school. You just need to go to River Road and afford the degree, in terms of afford the paper that will come to you as degree. And when you are asked to present it, you can present it. What is the point? At a certain level of the academy, you can actually work without a degree for a long, long time, because the people who are hiring you and the people who are giving you letters of references know you. If you ask Professor Masharia whether I was at the university or not, he has no doubt. I am saying, Mheshimiwa here, I know he is even where he is studying. Remember, he has not acquired the papers yet. So when I talked to the late Gigi Karaoke, he was the chair of a university, like Kipia University, I think, at that time. And yet, he was in the sixth year of his PhD at the University of Nairobi. I asked him, Mheshimiwa, why are you studying so hard? And you can get this degree by being just named the honorary degree. He said, I am teaching the young generation how to work for the highest things. You don't get them easily. And he graduated in the 7th year with a PhD at the University of Nairobi, ranking now as the oldest graduate at that university. I am proud that I was one of those who supervised him.
How old was he?
He was 77, I think, by the time he got his PhD. The PhD. Mm-hmm. And he queued like everybody else. He went, he was with the colleagues that were graduating, who were maybe half his age when he was graduating. And remember, he was a chancellor of a university at that time, but did not go to the university to coerce the university to give him a doctorate. He worked for it at the University of Nairobi, supervised by Professor Maria Nzomo and myself. And that taught me a lesson.
And many more, like Kabaki Karanjan as well.
Yes. And there are many more. Karangi, General Karangi could have gotten his degrees easily from whatever. He worked for it. Both as he is doing his work as the topmost soldier in the land, and he's also fighting for his doctorate. He did not get his honorary doctorate. He worked for his doctorate. And many other people are working day by day to honestly get their degrees. So the people first abused by these fake certificates are not the institutions they are raping. It is the people who have honestly worked for their papers. Because it is generalized that the degree that Mheshimiwa Yusuf is working for will be as fake as the degree that another person is faking at Kirinyaga Road or Grogan Road or wherever they are faking it. And that is basically an indictment to our society, that those who have gone up, you're bringing them down by your immoral and corrupt behavior. So we do ask, and we must say this as well. The deputy president of the land at that time, who now is the president of the time, worked very hard for his doctorate. He could have as well done it elsewhere. And we know his supervisors. We saw him come to graduate. Why don't we pick those kind of examples that you work for what you are getting and therefore deserve the appointment that you are given because you submit the right papers. I would say this: if anybody is found with a fake paper, the punishment should be so high that others will not go for fake papers. But unfortunately, people be arraigned, and as if they have just something simple corruption, and then you'll be given 2 years or maybe nothing, and then you go home. When you have destroyed a department, and you have destroyed the credibility of your nation and the credibility of those who are working hard. Because there is a tendency to generalize that at the University of Nairobi there is corruption. Therefore, his degree, when he is given, will not have the reputation that it is supposed to have. That is a grudge I have with this. So it's not a simple problem of 2,000 people found with fake certificates at the Public Service Commission. It's not as simple as that. It's deeper. It's deeper. Yes, it is a deeper decay that we need to be worried about, and which need to get presidential attention, not the ministerial attention. This is a presidential issue. The president himself worked for his degree at the University of Nairobi. Professor Ndegwa and others worked on his papers. They sat as they watched him as he was working. Why can't we demand that everybody in Kenya here get a degree by working hard?
Indeed. All right. Before we come to you, Professor Macharia, I think also just got a minute to 8 o'clock. We take a short break and then we'll circle back with that. But before we do that, we just want to get an update also from the story that we were following for you earlier on. We broke that particular story of the gentleman that is a fugitive, that is Kevin Kinyanjui Kang'ethe, who was on the run, that has been nabbed by police, and Odi Francis has been on it since last night, and also captured the videos for us that we've been running you by. He's actually on the line to give us just an update on what is happening currently from the DCI. Odi, good morning. If you can hear me, what are you learning this morning? Odi, I'm trying to just connect with you. If you can hear me this morning, you are at the DCI. Could you kindly just bring us up to date with what is happening currently at the DCI?
Yes, Dibal, I am at the DCI right now, and nothing much is happening. We've just received information that the fugitive who was apprehended yesterday is at Nairobi area police station. Anytime from now, he will be taken to court. And as we speak, we are on our way to Nairobi area police station so that we follow up on the proceedings. But away from that, yesterday the entire night we were with the DCI officers following up on the trail or trying to get where this person is. That is Kang'ethe, Kevin Kinyanjui Kang'ethe. Sorry?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just continue.
Yes, the police officers managed to apprehend the fugitive, that is Kevin Kang'ethe, and it has been a long trail, and we also found out that he was going to a cousin to try and seek refuge. And this cousin we have identified and established to be Hamza Otieno Oyaki, who is his cousin. And he was trying to come in, trying to seek refuge at his house. And then the cousin, that is Hamza, decided to contact his family. That is the father and one auntie. And then they gave him a go-ahead to accommodate him as he managed, tried to manage the fugitive. After some time, they decided to go and report the matter to Ngong police station, where the police officers arranged themselves and decided to ambush Kang'ethe around Ngong. That is the township area, a place called Osirwa. That is in a flat where this cousin was staying. So far, as we speak right now, he has been taken to Nairobi area police station, and he will be taken to court anytime right now. But again, the cousin was telling us that Kang'ethe, who is 4 years older than him, he came in and he told him that his escape was an inside job, so that we have established that indeed the escape of Kangeve was an inside job from the police station. But again, we will be giving you more details of this in the course of the day in our subsequent bulletins. But as we speak right now, we are on our way to Nairobi area police station, so that we try and find out if we will get him as he is taken to the court, that is Milimani Law Court. But for now, we came to DCI headquarters. We thought that since yesterday night, when he was arrested, he was to be brought to DCI headquarters. But again, this morning, we've just received a signal that he was not taken to DCI, but taken to a police station, that is Nairobi area police station.
All right, many thanks indeed, Ori Francis, for, of course, bringing us up to speed with that particular developing story. We shall be putting tails on it with you. Thank you very much. And of course, that is a story that we've been following of the fugitive Kevin Kangeve, who had actually escaped police custody, and all the very dubious circumstances that is being investigated, as you've heard there. Was it an inside job or not? But finally, he's been nabbed along Embambul area there by police officers, and now he's headed to the police custody. Thank you very much for your valid company. We take a short break right now. When we circle back, of course, we continue with the conversation on these ghost workers and the fake papers that the country is bedeviled with right now. We're losing a lot of money there. As we wind up on that, of course, we shall cross over to DR Congo, the Eastern Congo right now, where violence is escalating. The United Nations Security Council is warning on this. And also we have 29,000 troops from South Africa who are headed to to DR Congo.